How's it going, Hardwood fans? We've only got 3 more weeks left in the season as we are now into episode 6. I'm your host, Nick Niehaus. What a week we had this week in the TVC. We had huge games Friday night with conference championship implications on the line for the Ohio and the Hocking, and unfortunately, we saw a few teams' seasons end for the girls, but fortunately, a handful of teams advanced in the tournament. Without any more waiting, let's tip it off. Just a little disclaimer, we have such a fun show for you guys tonight. Not only is all of the action intense for the teams on the court, but we are coming at you with a couple new segments, In the Paint and Shot Clock. I don't want to give too much away just yet. Oh, and I'll be making my first ever Hero of the Week choice with my online host, Taylor Nimmo, as we gave Tommy a break. First, let's give you guys the update on the standings for the boys. In the Ohio, the top 3 are set. The Vinton County Vikings now have clinched the sole possession of the championship as they took care of Wellston Friday night. In an extremely chippy game for second place between Athens and Alexander, the Bulldogs prevailed and took down the Spartans for second place. In the Hocking, the first place Trimble Tomcats fell to Waterford Friday night in their first matchup of 2, making this next matchup between these two the deciding game for the Hocking championship. The tournament brackets are out for all of the boys' teams. To see those, hit up our YouTube page. Now, since the girls started their tournament, we'll break down their games so far. In the first round, the Vinton County Lady Vikings took down River Valley to advance to the second round. And as you can see, we don't have a result for that second round game. At the time of this recording, we unfortunately do not have a result. So make sure to check out our YouTube page for Federal Hocking and Alexander's tournament results as well. On the other side of the Division II, the Athens Lady Bulldogs fell to Sheridan to end their season. In D3, the Alexander Lady Spartans took care of business in the first round, and the Meigs Lady Marauders fell to Oak Hill to finish their season. On the other side in D3, the Nelsonville-York Lady Buckeyes lost in a close one against Crooksville, and their season is over. And in D4, Waterford continued their dominance, crushing Sims Valley. On the other side in Division 4, the Eastern Lady Eagles took down South Webster to advance and face off against Notre Dame. Since we're at the top of the show, let's take a look at the top of the TVC Ohio. Vinton County reporter Noah WOUB joins me on desk to break down the past week for the champions of the Ohio.
Nick, the Lady Vikings they cut down the nets 2 weeks ago, but they have higher aspirations than just the TVC Ohio. They started their playoff journey Wednesday with a dominant 77-26 victory over the River Valley Lady Raiders. The Lady Vikings built up a large lead through their normal, relentless style of play. They capitalized on fast break points, and the combination play between Aaron Jones and Josie Ousley was really working. Vinton County head coach Rod Bentley decided to rest most of his starters for the second half, but they still outscored River Valley 29-12 after halftime. Josie Ousley almost single-handedly outscored the Lady Raiders with 23 points. Darian Radabaugh drained 5 3-pointers for her 15 points. Cassie Bentley contributed 13, including her 1,000th career point. With their victory on Wednesday night, the Lady Vikings advanced to take on the Fairfield Union Lady Falcons on Saturday. That game was not played by the time of the taping of this show, but for a full recap of that game, head over to woub.org/heroes.
Yeah, we'll see if the Lady Vikings are able to continue their run for the sectional title. Meanwhile, the boys of Vinton County, they picked up 2 key wins this week.
You're spot on, Nick. The Vikings welcomed the Miami Trace Panthers to MacArthur for a Division II non-conference matchup and got a much-needed victory, 83-71. Darby Tyree and Cameron Carter made things tough for the Vikings, putting up 28 and 25 points respectively. But Vinton County had the answer, and its name was Yates. Nayland Yates had 30 points for the Vikings, and his brother Nevin had 26, 20 of which came in the first half. Cam Hammond had a great game as well, contributing 16 points. Now, before Friday's game at Wellston, the Vikings had clinched a share of the TVC Ohio title. But as Nayland told me, they don't want to share. Fortunately, they don't have to. Jake Speakman shined in his return to the court, scoring 15 points to lead the team to their 3rd consecutive TVC Ohio title. This is Coach Matt Combs' 10th conference title, but he told me that the league is never easy, and he's proud of his team.
Hey, he certainly has reason to be. Thanks for the great breakdown, Noah. Now, one of the teams that was in the hunt for the crown in the TVC Ohio was the Athens Bulldogs, who've recently caught fire. Athens reporter Justin Cudahy joins me at desk to give us an update on the tight race.
Yeah, the Bulldogs had 6 days to rest before heading into their most important matchup of the season when they hosted the Alexander Spartans. When all was said and done, it was Athens taking this one 71-60. The last time these two teams faced off was back on December 15th, which the Spartans took 50-44. Things can change though over the course of a few months, and the Athens showed them just why the Bulldogs found themselves in double digits for points, including sophomore Isaiah Butcher, who tallied up 12, with 7 of them coming from the free throw line. Junior Logan Maxfield took things into his own hands, shooting 50% from the field during his 23-point performance. Athens' narrowed lead was kept in check by Alexander's Caleb Terry, using his height to his advantage in the paint, finishing the night with 20 points. With emotions high in a top spot at stake, the game got more and more chippy, with technical fouls being called, along with spectators having to be ejected as the game began to wind down. Tied at 47 in the closing minutes, in the end, it was the Bulldogs who got the better of Alexander, cementing their second-place finish in the TVC Ohio. With playoffs coming up, it's only fitting that their matchup against Vinton County next Friday. The Vikings stole Athens' crown, and they'll be looking for revenge.
Yeah, it's amazing to see how both of the Athens teams, they've turned it around in the past few weeks. Now, the Lady Bulldogs, they're a team who, despite a rocky season, they've won their last 3 of 4 before heading into the postseason before they play Sheridan.
Yeah, the Lady Bulldogs may have won their last 3 or 4, but the Lady Generals of Sheridan won their last 20 games of 19, a streak that would extend even further after defeating Athens 62-26. Things quickly fell one-sided as the Lady Generals went on a 9-0 run in the opening minutes of the game. From there, Sheridan only got hotter from the field, while Athens struggled to get baskets. Sheridan shot for over 51% from the field overall, including 7 from beyond the arc. Junior Rachel Cook contributed 4 of those 7, finishing the game with 20 points. Going into the second half, down 35-12, Athens' shooting woes continued to plague them. Top scorers Laura Mandarick and Kaylee Stewart were held to a combined 18 points out of the team's 26 total. Despite Athens' early exit from the playoffs, the team has a lot to look forward to. They're only losing 1 senior. The Lady Bulldogs are a young team. Expect to see some of their best basketball next season there.
Well, you heard it here. Expect to see some great basketball and things coming out of Athens next season. Great work, Justin. With it being postseason time for the girls, you're going to need to find out who plays who and where. So make sure to hit us on the web, woub.org/heroes. It has you covered. We will have recaps of each postseason game, and we'll have the update on who they play next. Moving on to Nelsonville-York, where the Lady Buckeyes played their first tournament game this past Thursday at Jackson High School, and NY reporter Jacob Murray is here to break down what went wrong for the Lady Buckeyes.
Nick, the ball just didn't bounce this way for the Lady Buckeyes this Thursday against Crooksville. The Lady Buckeyes have beaten the Crooksville Lady Ceramics the last 2 years, but this was a new year. Crooksville came out with strong play from Carson Miller as she scored 32 points for the Lady Ceramics and also added in solid defensive play on Jessie Addis. The Buckeyes did fight back in this one as they were able to force overtime with a 3-pointer from Grace Sinnen in the corner with only a few seconds remaining. Even though it seemed like NY had all the momentum heading into overtime, they just fell flat and couldn't find a way to pull off the victory.
Well, with this being the last game of the season for the Lady Buckeyes, this meant that it was the end of a career for Jessie Addis, who made some history on Thursday night, I believe.
Jessie Addis cemented her legacy at NY with a record-breaking free throw in the second quarter. She became the school's all-time leading scorer and also finished the night with 20 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, and 7 steals. Even though it wasn't the way she wanted it to end, she still put on a great performance to close the book on a fantastic career at Nelsonville-York.
You're right, what a great career for her. Now moving on to the boys who've come into the tournament struggling to find any momentum, what are the problems for those Buckeyes?
This Buckeyes team has fallen on hard times to close out the regular season, as they have lost 12 straight games heading into the tournament. There isn't an easy fix for this team's problems either. One problem with this team is their size, as they are smaller than most of the teams in our coverage. Without much size down low, taller teams like Logan can have their way in the paint, seemingly scoring at will. Another problem with this team is their perimeter defense gives up way too many open shots. Opposing teams are raining down threes from all over the three-point arc, leading to some lopsided losses for the Buckeyes. When looking at the Buckeyes' first tournament opponent in the Alexander Spartans, it is clear that the weaknesses for this team are some of the Spartans' strengths. Coach Justice and the rest of the Buckeyes will need to find ways to fix these problems if they want a shot at winning this game, which would be their first win since January 6th.
Yeah, it seems like it'll be a tough battle for the Buckeyes when they open up tournament play this Tuesday against the Alexander Spartans. Thanks for the great work, Jacob. Federal Hocking boys kicked off the week with senior night, and the girls are in playoff mode. FedHawk reporter Rebecca Markovitz tells us how everything played out.
Nick, it was a tough week for the boys. They played 3 games in 4 days. They lost to Athens 63-39 on the 10th and faced Eastern twice. The lights were out and the spotlight was on the starting lineup for senior night, but it was a lot of hype for a game with a slow start. Eastern held FedHawk to just 2 points in the first quarter. The Lancers had to dig themselves out of the hole early, but they never stopped working hard to come back. It was a back and forth battle. Right here, swat. Caleb Hill, blocks Colin Jarvis, but Hunter Smith wins it back and launches it to Michael Johns, who finishes it off. The offense got in the groove and played with heart. Nate Massey did what he does best, beating 2 to 3 players at a time, and Smith breaking through the paint for a sweet layup. The Lancers played consistent defense, but Eastern was able to adapt to the man-to-man coverage, and Garrett Behringer was just unstoppable. He put up nearly half of the Eagles' points to lead his team to a 52-38 win. The Lancers were looking for revenge against Eastern going into their second game, but they fell short. The final score was 63-51.
Yeah, those losses must have hit hard for the boys, but it's a different story for the girls. They finished second in the conference, which is an improvement from last year.
Yes, it is an improvement. Last year, the girls finished fourth in the conference.
So what contributed to that improvement?
I talked to Coach Jeremy Tolson earlier this week, and he said that this year's team is very different from last year's. 8 seniors graduated, including 1,000-point scorer Destiny Tabler and 3-year starters Kaylee McPherson and Skylar Hatfield. But Coach Tolson said they were blessed with young talent. The 8th grade team came in with an undefeated season, and 3 girls start as freshmen. He also said that the sophomores on the team improved.
Well, with a lot of old players leaving and new players coming in, that must have changed the team dynamic, right?
It did, but they still have 3 seniors who have led the team well and have helped carry out Tolson's coaching mentality. When he started coaching the girls 4 years ago, he wanted to change the atmosphere and raise expectations. Tolson feels they have accomplished that. The girls actually succeeded his expectations, and he says that they continue to improve each year. The boys have a lot of growing talent as well, and they'll be a team to look out for in the coming years.
Yeah, for now, we'll be looking to see if the boys can win their playoff game against South Webster this Wednesday. Thank you, Rebecca. All right, so I mentioned it before. We have a brand new segment for you guys called In the Paint. I'm with Taylor Nimmo, and we normally talk about the play on the court, but we're going to switch it up.
Yeah, we're ranking our top 5 jerseys in the TVC. You know what they say, look good, play good. So we wanted to see what teams have the cleanest uniforms. So this week I went to the help of your style guru, Nick, and we're breaking it down for you.
So we're counting down from the top 5, and starting out with number 5, we have the Vinton County boys. These guys actually have a couple jerseys that I like. For home games, they rock the white unis with the signature purple interlocked VC on the shorts. But what I like most is their charcoal dark jerseys they bring out for road games. Taylor, maybe it brings out the extra confidence they need to win?
Yeah, the charcoal is my favorite, Nick. Adds a little pizzazz to the classic maroon and white. And talk about a triple threat, their maroon jerseys with the block white writing. Now let's just keep it rolling. Number 4, Nelsonville-York girls. Their white uniforms with the orange and black blocks down the side. Now those are nice.
Now something that adds another dimension and really makes a team in sync is when things are consistent. These girls rocking the same shoes. Orange Nikes, and Taylor, you know I'm a huge fan of that blocking.
You know, I have to agree with you there, Nick. A+ rating on the contrast.
Yeah, all right, so let's just keep it rolling. Taking the number 3 spot is the Trimble boys. I'm a big fan of the all-red unis, but first we got to say those warm-ups are incredible. That gray base and the red sleeves, I mean, those are a classic in that vintage font too.
Oh, absolutely. Those are vibrant. The font screams, yeah, we're here to play, but we're keeping it classy with the cursive letters. But it keeps getting better. Number 2, Fly, Eagles Fly. Eastern girls.
Now first you have to know, here's a squad with some iconic warm-ups.
Now it looks familiar to the infamous Indiana Hoosiers red candy striped warm-up pants, only these ones are green, and I have to say it is working for them.
Yeah, my high school team wore the same pants, so this one hits home for me, but that is not the only reason the Lady Eagles are in number 2. Both of their jerseys are awesome. The classic green and gold are nice, but how about those white and silver home jerseys? Those are slick, but we still do have one team left.
Now the team with the number 1 jerseys are the Belpre boys. Talk about making things pop. They're balling out in style, and I appreciate originality. Now look at those designs down the side. It is pretty flashy.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be standing out with uniforms like those. And we got to tell you, it wasn't easy for Taylor and I to make these picks, but we had a lot of fun doing it. And we appreciate your guys' votes. Thanks, Taylor. Now we head out to Albany, where the Alexander Lady Spartans kicked off the postseason with a bang. I'm joined on desk by Alexander reporter Abby Kay, who will update us on the team's postseason status.
The Lady Spartans took their first tournament win in a 70-33 dub against the Westfall Lady Mustangs in Monday night's matchup. The Lady Mustangs came into the game knowing Rachel Richardson would be a top threat, so they worked on holding her to minimal buckets, but to no avail. Richardson still put up 19 points after Coach Jeff Grinstead made play adjustments on the sidelines and in the locker room. She didn't do it all on her own, though. Kenna Rice also stepped up offensively by driving 25 points to the hoop, making her the lead scorer of the game.
But as we all know, offense means nothing without a strong defense, right? How did the Spartans D contribute to their 37-point win?
Defensively, the Lady Spartans executed their full court press to a T. By cutting off the Lady Mustangs when they attacked the hoop, the Lady Spartans were able to hold them to just 6 second-half points, which secured their win. Unfortunately, we didn't make it out to game 2 at Jackson versus Coldgrove before taping the show, but check out woub.org/heroes for your daily dose of Alexander coverage to get an update on the outcome of this game.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad start to tournament play for the Lady Spartans. Now let's talk about the boys. How are they looking to close out the regular season?
The boys played their last conference game versus the Athens Bulldogs, but fell short in a 71-60 loss on Friday night. This matchup had potential to be a huge win for the Spartans because they went into the game tied for second place in the TVC Ohio. From tip-off, the Spartans struggled and went down 16-5 in the first quarter. Throughout the game, the Spartans, led by Caleb Terry with 20 points and Ryan Davidson with 12 points, were able to chip away at the Bulldogs' lead and eventually tie up the score at 47 early in the fourth quarter. The Spartans' downfall was their sloppy passes that resulted in many turnovers. Overall, this was a very chippy game with 1 intentional foul, 2 technical fouls, and 2 fans ejected from the game. They may have closed out the regular season on a bad note, but the Spartans should keep their heads high and focused going into tournament play when they take on Nelsonville-York next Tuesday.
Yeah, I witnessed it firsthand, and let me tell you, it was definitely an intense game that resulted in a tough loss for those Spartans. We'll see what they bring to the table in the postseason. Thanks for the great coverage, Abby. If by chance you can't make your team's away game or it's just too far away, I have a solution for you. Check out our Twitter. Log on to Twitter and search @Hardwood Heroes. We have reporters at those games giving you real-time updates. So if there's a game that's coming down to the wire or you're just curious to see if your team is still alive in the postseason, don't worry, just go on Twitter. Now I'm joined on Sidestep with Meg's reporter Taylor Pacelli, who has a new game for us to play. Taylor, what do you have in store for us?
Well, Nick, how well do you really know your Meg's Marauders? We're going to find out in a little thing I like to call Shot Clock. I'm going to ask you 4 multiple choice questions about the Marauders, and you'll have to answer within 10 seconds what you think the right answer is. So let's start this game off with an easy question for the girls. The Lady Marauders were eliminated from the first round of the playoffs on Wednesday night after losing to this team 41-39. My question for you, Nick, is who did the Lady Marauders fall to on Wednesday? Was it A, Wellston, B, Chillicothe, C, Oak Hill, or D, River Valley? You have 10 seconds on the clock.
Well, Taylor, I think you're starting me off with a layup because I already said this in the show. The Megs Lady Marauders fell to Oak Hill on Wednesday night.
Well, are you sure?
I'm sure.
All right, let's lock that answer in and see if you're right. The answer is C, Oak Hill. Well done. First one down. We have 3 more to go. Let's see how it goes. Now that you got the hang of it, I'm going to put a little harder question on you, so stay tuned for this one. So Cassidy Betsing scored 15 total points against Oak Hill on Wednesday. But how many points per game did she average this season? Was it A, 13.6 points, B, 12.2 points, C, 10.3 points, or D, 15.8 points? 10 seconds are on the clock.
Well, I know Betsing, she's a great player, so I'm just going to have to go with the highest average total. I'm going to go 15.8 points.
All right, let's lock it in and see. And the correct answer is A, 13.6 points. You were close, but not close enough. So we're going to see we just saw how well you know the Lady Marauders. Let's see how well you know your Megs boys. The boys fell to Chillicothe on Tuesday night, 77-52. So we reached out to Meg's Zach Bartram, who gave us 2 reasons why they lost. What were those 2 reasons? A, Chillicothe had more height and better athleticism. B, Chillicothe has older players that are more experienced. C, Chillicothe was making all her shots and playing tight defense. Or D, Chillicothe didn't have any turnovers and made almost all of their foul shots. Your time starts now.
Well, I know that Chillicothe, they're a very tall and athletic team, and so Bartram, he had to say that it was the height and athleticism that got him.
All right, let's see. The right answer is A, their height and athleticism. Well done, you have 2 out of 3 so far, pretty great. So we have come down to the last question, Nick. Let's get right into it. I have a little history for you. Right now, the Marauders are placed 5th in the TVC. Where did they place last season? Was it A, 1st place, B, 5th place, C, 2nd place, or D, 4th place? Let's start that timer.
Well, I know that Megs, they had big hopes coming into the season because they placed 2nd place last year in the TVC.
All right, let's see. Question number 4 is locked in. The correct answer is C, 2nd place. 3 out of 4 answers. Well done, Nick. That ends my game for you. Everyone now knows how well you really know your Megs Marauders.
Honestly, Taylor, I was pretty scared going in this one, but that was a lot of fun. Now, no matter what you said, I got to study, but hey, you definitely weren't lying. Now, want to see more highlights from your favorite team? YouTube is the place to go. Just hit the web, search WOUB PBS, and you can find a slew of our recaps from games. You get to see our reporters' in-depth analysis of games we attend, and you get to see your favorite players dropping dimes and splashing threes in our footage. This has been a big week for Waterford as the girls are back into the postseason, and the boys are still in the hunt for the Hocking. Waterford reporter Connor Mills joins me on desk to break down this exciting week.
Nick, Waterford has a lot of reasons to be excited, and let's start off with the boys. They led the TVC Hocking for most of the regular season until 2 weeks ago, until their chances just now of reclaiming the title just got better. Wildcats played their most important game all year, home on Friday against the Tomcats. This game was a back-and-forth affair, with the lead changing between the first and second quarter. But after the half, Waterford would never look back. Peyton Stevens with 20 and Travis Popmeyer 15 led the way and accounted for over 40 points and scored for Waterford. Popmeyer also was all over the glass and got 8 rebounds. As a whole, the team did better defending the 3-ball and locked down Randy Hickson, allowing him to score only 10 points after halftime. The champions of the TVC Hocking will be crowned on Thursday in a hostile environment for the Wildcats. Also of note for the guys, they had a tough loss on the 10th to Warren and a big win against Wahama last Tuesday to bring their season record to 13-7.
Yeah, it's been a great season for the boys. Now switching over to the girls, they are entering into familiar territory at this time of the year, am I right?
Nick, this is what the Lady Wildcats have been waiting all season long for. The Waterford girls took the first step towards making the Final Four for the 4th year in a row with an impressive blowout 81-18 win over Sims Valley. The week started out with tough competition for Waterford as they earned a 62-60 victory at Minford and followed that up with a 45-15 win against Fort Fry. Those 2 games set them up perfectly for their matchup against Sims Valley in the opening round of the tournament. Rachel Adams, Allie Kern, and Megan Ball led the offense for the Lady Wildcats as they throttled the Vikings for 81 points. And just to show you how dominant they have been this whole season, Waterford has averaged 65 points per game while only giving up 27. This team tasted defeat just once, didn't like it, and continued to win ever since December 2nd. The Lady Wildcats have been impressive all season and are showing no signs of slowing down.
Yeah, Lady Wildcats looking like they can go all the way as usual. Thanks for the good work, Connor. The Trimble Tomcats are in a 2-dog race with Waterford for the TVC Hocking crown, as we just heard, and this past week just added more fuel to the fire. Joining me now is Trimble lead reporter Paul Roth and Trimble reporter T. Willis to break down what happened this week for the Tomcats.
Well, Nick, this past Valentine's Day was in the midst of 2 huge conference games for Trimble, and T, these Tomcats were feeling the love from the basketball gods.
To start off the week, Coach Howie Caldwell attained his 500th career win against Chesapeake last Saturday. This is Coach Caldwell's 32nd season coaching high school basketball in Ohio.
The Tomcats then cruised through their Tuesday night matchup against South Gallia, winning 72-52.
The Tomcats were feeling real good riding into Friday on a 9-game winning streak ahead of their biggest matchup of the season against Waterford. However, I'm not so sure that Trimble was ready for what Waterford had in store.
The game started off slow, but Trimble carved out a 6-point lead going into halftime. And with Easter just around the corner, the Tomcats must have gotten together during the break and decided to pay tribute to the Easter Bunny as they came out and laid an egg in the third, getting outscored 24-7 on their way to a 56-47 loss.
Randy Hickson finished the game with 28 points, but no other Tomcat scored over 5. If Trimble wants to get their sweet revenge on Waterford in next week's matchup, they have to get more offensive production out of their players and crash the defensive glass to push the ball out in transition.
All right, well, with March Madness just around the corner, it seems like a little of that chaos has leaked in the TVC Hocking. Can't wait to see how next week's game turns out. Thanks, you two. Now, switching over to one of the classic segments, Rebound. I'm here with Eastern reporter Nate Moore, and I'm going to start it off with one word: playoffs.
Nick, to respond, my word is finally. It's playoff time out in Reedsville, and this Lady Eagles team is ready to get down to business. The Lady Eagles enter as the 3 seed in this year's bracket and come in as major contenders. So far, Eastern is off to a great start as they defeated South Webster 54-42 in their first round this past Thursday. On offense, this team is powered by seniors Liz Collins and Madison Williams, who are threats to drop 20 on any given night. Defensively, Coach Parker's team plays as a complete unit and communicate with each other to force opponent turnovers. However, the X factor that makes this team so dangerous? Experience. Last year, Eastern was able to advance all the way to the Elite Eight. This year, Eastern returns 5 of those players who were part of that special run. This Lady Eagles team has been in big games before, they know how to handle the pressure, and trust me, when time comes, their experience is going to be a huge part down the stretch of close games.
Yeah, you're right on the money about that. The Lady Eagles team is definitely a playoff contender. Switching over to the boys, my word is underdog.
And I'm going to rebound off that with Cinderella. Everybody loves a Cinderella story come playoff time, and this team has the potential to cause a major upset in this year's big dance. The Eagles find themselves in a very nice spot. They're on a 2-game win streak, and big men Garrett Behringer and Caleb Bill have been playing some of their best basketball all season. Right now, this team is excited more than ever going into their playoff game against Belpre, and mark my words, the Eagles could be turning a couple heads when it's all said and done.
Now, having an underdog team surprise us is a big part in why we love watching playoff basketball so much. We'll see if Eastern can really be that Cinderella role. Now, thanks for the report, Nate. So one of the more unique social media platforms we utilize is Snapchat. I finally got the Snapchat during the week for that Athens-Alexander game. We like to send our reporters out to big games to capture it on the snap. So make sure to add us on at Hardwood Heroes to see a different view of your games. Now it's time to reveal our Heroes of the Week for this week, and it's a little different. I'm hopping in Tommy's spot, and I'm going to be joining online host Taylor Nimmo to reveal this week's Heroes.
Yeah, and Nick, I say we get started. I mean, let's not keep the people waiting anymore. Let's start out with the boys. This week, I'm calling out a guy who was able to gain some last-minute momentum for his team before we enter the postseason. Coming from the Eastern Eagles, Garrett Behringer. This guy had 23 points in the Eagles' win on Tuesday night. He's only a sophomore, and he has so much potential. He's got a great shot, and he gets those easy buckets down low and takes advantage of every opportunity. So he's taking shots, but hey, he follows through as well. He uses his size to his advantage, and Eastern's ball movement was on another level on Tuesday. Behringer and Caleb Hill were quite the dynamic duo. They were able to sort of feed off each other and create opportunities. And hey, they've got a nice rhythm going as we head into the postseason. And Garrett Behringer was a big contributor for that, Nick, so that is why he is our Boys Hero of the Week.
Yeah, Taylor, you're right. He certainly deserved it. Big game for him, so hey, kudos to you, Garrett. All right, now for my first ever Hero of the Week, I'm taking a player from Vinton County, and I know we like to talk about the duo of the Bentley sisters, but this one is going to sophomore Josie Ousley. Josie, in their first postseason game Wednesday night, put up a career-high 23 points in the victory against River Valley. Like I mentioned before, Josie is just a sophomore, but this is her second year starting on varsity for the Lady Vikings. Coach Bentley raved about Josie's defense. She's short in height, but makes up for it with her athleticism. But hey, looks like she can put the ball in the hoop on offense too. And by the way, you aren't seeing the same play over and over again. She literally just gets out in the fast break that many times for most of her points. Just goes to show you why this Vinton County team was so dominant in the regular season. They don't just have the two sisters who could stuff that stat sheet. They can pretty much count on anybody to get it done. Taylor, I know I'm looking forward to seeing Josie keep up this play as they advance in the postseason. Congratulations on being my only Hero of the Week for this whole season, Josie.
Yeah, and Nick, how about our Heroes of the Week this week? Both sophomores, so our up-and-coming heroes are really stepping it up this week.
I know. I mean, it's crazy to see two sophomores. Heroes of the week. I mean, hey, we got to be looking for our all-futures team, so you guys are balling out at the right time. I mean, that's crazy. That's two sophomores. And even in the postseason for Josie, I mean, that can be pretty intimidating. I mean, win or go home. That's crazy. She dropped 23, and hey, with the helm of the two sisters, sometimes maybe you don't get as many shots up because, hey, they're really like high on the scoring. But hey, good for her for getting Hero of the Week, and Garrett too. That was crazy. Hey, well, that's all we have for episode 6. We'll see you next week, but before that, I got to tell you to keep up with our social media. Like us on Twitter, follow us on Facebook, and add us on Snapchat. And as always, go to our WOUB.org/heroes. Now, for Taylor Nimmo, I'm Nick Niehaus reminding you to be heroic.